Hey gals and guys, it's your host, Phil Larson, and this is your motivational high five on failure. Let's do this. Have you ever in your life experienced failure? And then in experiencing that failure, have you ever been encountered with your own shame? I know I have. I don't know about you, but I feel like failure has generally been portrayed as a bad thing. I think school inadvertently teaches this. You know, we label who we think is the most successful by a letter. But for the worst of the worst, we'll just go ahead and skip E and go to F. And our children who are trying to define themselves end up defining themselves as letters. And we begin to live and lean into the narratives that have been assigned to us. And I was guilty of that. I think we all kind of were. We knew the F students, the failures. And we see them as anti-success because of some scale that someone somewhere made up. To allow someone else's definition of failure, ascribe value to our life, is giving our pen to someone who isn't us to write the narrative of our life. It's not their pen. So let's take back the definition of failure a little bit. You see, cancer treatment researchers don't see failed experiments as bad because they've learned something. They've learned a treatment doesn't work. And that is good to learn when you're trying to figure out cancer treatments. It's good to learn because there is some forward movement. Google X is this part of Google where they call themselves moon shooters. They shoot for big ideas. They shoot for the moon. You know, and the hope is that one will take off and become the next big thing. And AstroTeller is this guy's name, and he is the head of X in an episode by TED Radio Hour called Failure is an Option, which is a good episode. Check it out. He says that they reward the teams that have failed and have decided to discontinue their project. They give them standing ovations, and they give them raises, and they send them on vacation. Why? Because it's hard to give up on something you've put so much toward. And Astro says the real failure is the point at which you know that what you're doing or what you're working on is the wrong thing, or maybe you're working on it in the wrong way, and you continue in that direction without any course correction, even after you realize that it's wrong. He says that's real failure. But up to that point, before realizing that it's wrong, it isn't failure, it's just learning. But after that point, if you choose to continue down that road, the shame begins to build. At some point, we need to try to realize that maybe we are repeating an old way, expecting a new result, though we may have noticed a better way. And at that point, this is true failure. The real failure is getting stuck and choosing to stay stuck. You may go, I am failing right now in my life. My question is there any forward movement? Is there a relationship that's being built? Is there potential hope on the horizon for something new? Or have you been hoping for something new for a long time while continuing to repeat an old method and making the same old decisions? Is there forward movement, or are you stuck? And if there isn't forward movement and we are stuck, there is a possibility that we can fall in love with this stuck reality. And at that point, we become addicted to our failure. We let it determine our worth, and we believe that worth is truth, and we become blinded to any potential health. Here, at this point, is where we isolate in shame. And friends, that is the true failure. But hey, there's hope. If you can recognize that even then, and you go, today is the day I decide to do something different. All of the times leading up to that point where you've repeated the old behavior then became lessons that you have learned, and you today can choose a different way, a better way. And you may have noticed that better way for a long time, and you may have chosen to ignore it, but not today. Allow failure to propel you forward. And at the end of our episode, we make a choice to take back our pen, to write our own narrative, to let the failures provide the motivation for something new, for a better way. And we do this by telling ourselves about this new way. We do that until we believe it. And as science research has shown us, probably thanks to a bunch of failures to get us to this point, of the science of neuroplasticity, that we have the ability to rewire our brain. This is true. Your brain is never hardwired enough where you cannot change. And we grab onto this truth by finding a reflection of ourselves in the mirror and saying an affirmation to ourselves in the first person. We do that every episode, and here we are. Are you ready to do this? Find the reflection of yourself and say this. Today, I will allow my failures to move me forward toward a better way. Friends, that's no easy task and no small decision. I want to be realistic that it's sometimes easier said than done. Actually, a lot of the times. There's no magic formula, and I hope and I pray that one day, if it's not today, you will come to the realization that it comes down to what you want for your life. And in that moment, that still awesome moment, that glimpse of true reality, it is revealed to you. Something bigger than yourself and beyond your understanding has winked in your direction. Holy, sacred, it is yours. Do you want it? And if this thing loves you, and though you cannot figure it out, then it requires you to trust that it can't force you to love it. You must choose it. Love is choosing to say yes to what is. The power is out in front of you for the taking. The time is now. It starts with you.